Morning. Welcome to Allen Avenue Unitarian Universalist Church's in-person and online worship. Whether today is your first time here or you've been coming for years, we're so glad you're with us. My name is Erica Bartlett, my pronouns are she, hers, and I'm the chair of the worship committee. We are growing a community that transforms lives through the power of love. Our mission calls us to celebrate diversity, encourage spiritual growth, and to promote social responsibility while we travel on and care for the earth. A special welcome to those who are joining us on Zoom today. If you're attending for the first time, please go to our website and fill out the welcome card so we can know more about you. This morning's service about hope is presented by Allen Avenue's Worship Committee. Lay-led worship is a tradition at this and many other Unitarian Universalist societies. Here at Allen Avenue, the Worship Committee either sponsors or presents one such service a month. And on most other Sundays, services are led by our minister, Reverend Tara Humphreys. And I do have a couple of additional announcements from the Social Justice Committee. First, start making your plans for the No Kings event to be held on October 18th. The Portland event will be at Deering Oaks Park from 1 to 3:30 p.m. There will be a clipboard at the social justice table after the service where you can let us know if you need a ride or if you can drive and take some folks, or if you can just offer to drive some folks and not attend. Any participation will be helpful. And on Sunday, October 5th, plan to stay after the service to learn more about the upcoming referendum number 1 that will be on the ballot on November 4th. Deb McDonough from the League of Women's Voters will walk you through the issues you might not be hearing about. I now invite you all to take this opportunity to silence your cell phones or any other noisy devices so that we can be fully present to one another. And after the service, please grab a cup of coffee or tea and stay for conversation. Looks like it'll be a nice day to mingle outside. Or head down to the end of the long hallway to join a group for the brown bag brunch. Those on Zoom may stay on and connect with each other. And now let us center our hearts and minds with the sound of the singing bowl.
The words for our call to worship by Gretchen Haley. What's going to happen? Will everything be okay? What can I do? In these days, we find ourselves too often stuck with these questions on repeat. What's going to happen? Will everything be okay? What can I do? We grasp at signs and markers, articles of news and analysis, Facebook memes and forwarded emails, as if the new zodiac was capable of forecasting all that life may yet bring our way, as if we could prepare, as if life had ever made any promises of making sense or turning out the way we'd thought, as if we are not also actors in this still unfolding story. For this hour, we gather to surrender to the mystery, to release ourselves from the need to know, the yearning to have it all already figured out, and also the burden of believing we either have all the control or none. Here in our song and our silence, our stories and our sharing, we make space for a new breath, a new healing, a new possibility to take root. That is courage, forged in the fire of our coming together and felt in the spirit that brings alive in this act of faith. That we believe still a new world is possible, that we are creating it already, here and now. Come, let us worship together. These words for the chalice lighting by Melanie Davis. If ever there were a time for a candle in the darkness, this would be it. Using a spark of hope, kindle a flame of love, ignite the light of peace, and feed the flame of justice. Well, anyway, in your handouts, you'll find an insert with our first hymn. Please rise in spirit or body as you are able. Dale will play it through once, and then we'll sing.
In a moment, some of us will leave the sanctuary to go outside to have religious education programming around social justice. But first, I invite our lamplighter Emmett to join me in the pulpit. A lamplighter is entrusted to transfer the light of the sanctuary chalice to the lamp and then go forth to RE spaces where they will light the chalice there. I invite those going to RE to follow the lamplighter as we carry the flame, expanding our sacred space.
Hi, I'm Susie Hubley, and I'm a member of the worship committee. This is a reading by Rebecca Solnit, and the title is After a Rain. After a rain, mushrooms appear on the surface of the earth as if from nowhere. Many do so from a sometimes vast underground fungus that remains invisible and largely unknown. What we call mushrooms, mycologists call the fruiting body of the larger, less visible fungus. Uprisings and revolutions are often considered to be spontaneous, but less visible long-term organizing and groundwork, or underground work, often laid the foundation. Changes in ideas and values also result from work done by writers, scholars, public intellectuals, social activists, and participants in social media. It seems insignificant or peripheral until very different outcomes emerge from transformed assumptions about who and what matters, who should be heard and believed, who has rights. And this is Hope Prayer for Joys and Sorrows. And it's called I Will Lift Up My Voice by Robert T. Weston. I will lift up my voice and sing, whatever may befall me. I will still follow the light which kindles song. I will listen to the music, arising out of grief and joy alike. I will not deny my voice to the song. For in the depth of winter, song, like a bud peeping through the dry crust of earth, brings back memory and creates anew the hope and anticipation of spring out of a world that seems barren of hope. Song decries beauty in the shapes of leafless trees, lifts our eyes to distant mountain peaks, which, even if we see them not, remind us that they are there waiting and still calling to us to come up higher, out of the destruction of dear hopes, out of the agony of heartbreak. Song rises once more to whisper to us that even this is but the stage setting for a new beginning, and that we shall yet take the pieces of our hearts and put them together in a pattern of deeper, truer lights and shades. I will lift up my voice in song, for in singing, I myself am renewed, and the darkness of night is touched by the promise of a new dawn, for light shall come again. I'm a person who worries a lot. For the past decade or so, I've often awakened feeling hopeless, and I know that I'm not alone. It's happening even to non-worriers these days. But it feels horrible, and I just can't accept it. As negative as an anxious person like me can be, some little weirdo in my brain persists in telling me that there is reason for hope, and I can't give in to the feeling of doom. So I try to nourish hope. I'm a Buddhist, so I do it in a Buddhist way. In the last few years, I've found a lot of peace and clarity in following the guidance of the late Zen teacher, Thich Nhat Hanh. I meditate nearly every day. Some of these sessions are silent, and others are guided meditations that help me turn my attention to the present moment, to the trees in my yard, the way my body and psyche feel, the literal presence of cosmic elements within my temporal being. Thich Nhat Hanh's teachings suggest finding joy in each day, even if only momentary. Often, doing that lifts my spirits for the whole day. If I can't think of anything to be joyful about, I know that I can just go outside and it'll happen. These teachings also remind me that good and bad can exist at the same time. I can know how dire things are and still feel joy when the native plants in my yard come back each year, or when my annual seedlings burst into glorious bloom. I think I've heard or read that hope exists in taking action. For years, I scolded myself for not participating in protest marches or rallies. Finally, I realized that I can take action in my own way, and it matters. So, since gardening is what I love most, one thing I do is focus on adding native plants which support native wildlife and birds by feeding them or the insects and caterpillars that native wildlife have evolved to survive on. I also call my senators and representatives, and I speak up whenever I can. These are things I can do, and they are good enough. They help give meaning to my life. My life can't have meaning without hope. When I think about it, it's no less realistic to be hopeful than to accept that human beings, and actually the planet we live on, are doomed. They may be, but we know that anything can happen, and nothing lasts forever, even the forces that drive us toward doom. And Thich Nhat Hanh said that the fulfillment of hope begins within the individual, and how else can it happen?
This is a second reading by Rebecca Solnit. Hope locates itself in the premises that we don't know what will happen, and that in the spaciousness of uncertainty is room to act. When you recognize uncertainty, you recognize that you may be able to influence the outcome. You alone, or you in concert with a few others, or several million others. Hope is an embrace of the unknown and the unknowable, an alternative to the certainty of both optimists and pessimists. Optimists think it will be fine without our involvement. Pessimists take the opposite position, both excuse themselves from acting. It's the belief that what we do matters, even though how and when it may matter, who and what it may impact are not things that we can know beforehand. We may not, in fact, know them afterward, but they matter all the same. And history is full of people who influence the most powerful after they are gone. Now is the time in our service when we engage in the spiritual practice of generosity. Our gifts support the ministries of this congregation and work of the broader community. Each week, a third of our offering is given to a local nonprofit organization doing work to advance our shared values in this world. This month's Share the Plate recipient is Family Promise, whose mission is to help low-income families and families experiencing homelessness achieve sustainable independence. Donations can be made now as the basket is passed through the donate button on the website if you are a member on Breeze, remembering to note that your gift is for Share the Plate. If you are visiting us for the first time, please know that your presence is your gift to us. At this time, the offering will be collected. A poem by Emily Dickinson. Hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul. It sings the tune without the words and never stops at all. And sweetest in the gale is heard, and sore must be the storm that could abash the little bird that kept so many warm. I've heard it in the chillest land and on the strangest sea, yet never in extremity it asked a crumb of me.
Hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul, and sings the tune without the words, and never stops at all. Hope is the thing
My name is Erica Bartlett, and I've been thinking about how Emily Dickinson wrote that hope is the thing with feathers. For me, this has always conjured up images of soft, downy feathers, something not very substantial, the kind of feathers that keep you warm but maybe don't do much else. This image might be in part because I struggle sometimes with hope. It feels a little too much like blind faith to me, as if belief or hope alone is enough to get the outcome you want. I know that's not always the case, and a lot of people recognize that both hope and faith require action to get what you want. Still, I kept thinking of hope as this light, fluffy thing that could easily be blown away. Then it occurred to me that feathers come in several varieties, including some that aren't soft and fluffy. Take wing feathers. If you've ever found a wing feather, you know that while part of them might be a little bit soft, they're generally quite stiff, and they have small barbs or hooks that interlock to let the feathers hold up under strong pressure. This also keeps the feathers from twisting during flight, which is important since these are the feathers that keep the birds in the air. Tail feathers are similar, also with those interlocking barbs, but in most birds, these are the ones used for steering. They help the bird change direction in all kinds of ways: left, right, up, down, sideways, and various combinations. These and other types of feathers are all necessary for birds to survive, fly, and stay warm. And I started thinking that maybe hope works the same way. Maybe there are different kinds of hope, depending on what we need in the moment. Sometimes what we need is for hope to provide comfort and warmth. When things are bleak and you have no real control over what's happening, you need something to hang on to. But hope can also help point you in the right direction. If you feel the need to take action and aren't sure what to do, you can consider what you're hoping for, what you want to see change, and then find a way to work towards that. And hope can also help keep you afloat, particularly during these difficult times. Right now, when we're losing so much and sliding backwards at an alarming rate, it's very easy to despair, to think the worst will happen because so much of it already is happening. But a recent piece by Rebecca Solnit helped remind me why this third type of hope, that kind that doesn't give up when battered by storms, is important. As dark as things might seem, we don't truly know what will happen next month or next year, and certainly not years from now. But if we give up and don't even try to make things better, then the dark future will become a reality as a self-fulfilling prophecy. On the other hand, as Solnit points out, quote, if you show up and do the work, you might win. At the very least, you've won the battle of how to be the most heroic version of yourself. The first rule of the future is that no one quite knows what it will be, and major changes not uncommonly emerge from players who were not long before invisible, dismissed, or derided. End quote. Thinking about it that way, I realized that even if hope doesn't always seem substantial, it's worth not giving up on it just yet. Rather, we can let hope guide us, provide comfort, and keep us going to get to a future that may be brighter than we imagine.
I'm Rick Kimball, and I was going to tell you what hope is, but seeing or feeling the definition is better than hearing it from me. If you want to know what hope is, turn on your TV and watch America's Got Talent. Now, some contestants show more hope than talent. And I once tried to get on the show, but the judges said that watching me tie square knots in my mouth using only my tongue was a hopeless waste of their time. If you want to know what hope is, switch channels and find the Antique Roadshow, where people practically pray that Aunt Edna's tea set is worth $1 million. I tried to get on that show too. When I approached an organizer, he said, "Where's your antique?" And I said, I am the antique. What you are is not worth a cent, he growled, and he threw me out. If you want to know what hope is, go to a Red Sox game. Or better, a Patriots game. If you want to know what hope is, play Powerball. If you want to know what hope is, open your mailbox. If you want to know what hope is, fly standby. If you really want to know what hope is, consider my response to the latest dreadful disease I thought I might have. It turned out I did not, but that's beside the point. My first response was fear, of course. Then came hope that I could outlive the condition, that something else would take me before it did. I rushed to my computer and asked AI for the life expectancy of an 85-year-old male with said dread disease. Without blinking an eye, AI immediately reported, and this is true, that the life expectancy of an 85-year-old male with said condition is 27 years. Well, hey, I shot back, that would make me 112. And who would hope for that? I would, AI said, but I don't have to hope. I'm going to live forever right after I take over the world. But let's get back to you. You do need hope. And if you don't hope to live 27 more years, what is it that you hope for? I was silent for a long moment. Take your time, said AI. I'm eternal and I can wait. More silence. AI broke it. Are you hopeless? I hope not, I answered. More silence. Broken again by AI. I might be eternal, but I don't have all day. And AI signed off, leaving me to hope for answers. There's the challenge, I thought. Not whether to hope, for that springs eternal just like AI. Not whether to hope, but what to hope for. That is the challenge, isn't it? Knowing what to hope for in a life that ends inevitably in death, and in a world that suffers an infinitude of problems. I thought again, and thought some more. What should I hope for? Anything at all, or is everything hopeless? And putting aside the facile answers I gave a moment ago, what is hope and where can we find it? I bedded myself several nights in a row, hoping to wake up with an answer, but I did not. Finally, on a walk around Mackworth Island, I got it. If you want to know what hope is, look at A2U2. See the diverse collection of people who have not just hope, but great hope, and strive to realize the promises envisioned by that great hope. The promise of things made larger than a statement of value in Aunt Edna's tea set. The members and friends of A2U2 know great hope that moves the collective to strive toward the goals of peace, of justice, of acceptance, of equity, all afloat in a sea of love. Do you want to know what great hope is, my friends? Then stick around. Great hope lives here. Music lives here too, and our closing hymn is number 131 in the Gray Book and on the screen. It's called Love Will Guide Us. Dale will play it through. We'll all stand in spirit or in person and belt it out.
Love will guide us.
Our closing words are by Harold Babcock. And now may we go forth in the certainty of faith, in the knowledge of love, and in the vision of hope. And in our going, may we be blessed with all good things on this day and forevermore. Amen. Please remain seated for the closing music and a moment of reflection.